kilometer 16, East-West Road, Rumuosi place, because for a very long time, 9 on to 6 years, ladies and gentlemen, this is no joke, right? I barely left this area safe to go see my parents, because in this part of Port Harcourt, I had everything I wanted. School was here. There were many women who were selling bole and fish for Jude. So I would literally trek all the way from Choba down to Alakaya, down to Rumuosi, go down to Choba, inside Choba, Umechem, what do you call that place? Third John, move further down SDA, go inside the street, all in a bid to find the best buka places. I do not think there is any place that sells food along this axis that I've not entered to go and eat food. I don't think so. I said the person just came out maybe sometime this year. I don't think so. But in the past 4, 5, what am I saying? In past 7 years, I have probably eaten everywhere around this place. The junctions, the car washes, Choba Junction, for example, Rumuosi Junction, Alakaya Junction, inside of the streets down there. Rumekini, I won't go find food for that place. Yes, me. Nothing deters me. I like to go around. I like to see the things, hear the sounds and whatnot in my location. Now, one of the things I also have learned over the years, particularly back in my time as a student of the University of Port Harcourt, was the fact that criminal elements were never far away. Particularly when we were in university, there was always somebody who was snatching phones somewhere left, right, and center. But in all fairness, I thought many of these things had, come down, particularly as we have the Ozoba police station not too far from us. And then along this East-West Road, that's Ozoba police station, is along the, NTA Choba axis. So there's a very, very big police station, I must say. And then I have the police station close to the University of Port Harcourt. That's the Choba police station. Pretty nifty, nice building. 2-story building. It's very nice. I kind of like it. So they're there. So for a while, I kind of felt, we're pretty okay. We didn't have too many problems, right? As regarding that. However, in the past few weeks, ladies and gentlemen, something very disturbing has come up in this area. You see, residents of Rumuosi, particularly around Road 6 and 7, have clamored for the police to increase security patrol around their neighborhood. Now, speaking to our correspondent, some of the residents reported repeated cases of armed robbery in broad daylight. Broad daylight. That's the nerve. In fact, the last time I recall this happening was, I think it was last year, if I'm not mistaken. Sometime last year, ladies and gentlemen, there seemed to be a serial robber around these parts who would walk around, or I think was on a bike at one point in time. He had a gun. And what was worrying when we sent out people, and in fact, when I even asked some of the residents around this area, all the way close to Timber, I said they don't see that face before. They know the guy. Say one day they'll go catch him. One day they go catch him. But after a while, I don't know if the guy went on holidays, or maybe he got word that a lot of people were taking his arrest very, very seriously. He seemed to have gone quiet. That we had, because we didn't get to hear a lot of these reports, but in the past few weeks they have propped up. And the fact that this, just like the last time, this person was carrying out his activities, his nefarious activities in broad daylight, was of serious concern. But now my question is, what exactly is fueling this bad behavior, this very terrible? How do you go and rob a man and his wife in their shop in broad daylight? I'm not saying it's not impossible. It does happen, But how and why in a community like ours? Rumuosi, it's not very isolated. Yes, there are a lot of buildings, a lot of businesses around us where we are right now, and very often, we see our good friends, the police, at 5:30 a.m. in the morning on the streets, and sometimes at noon, we see their vans moving around, so we kind of feel, hey, they're around. So what exactly is the problem? Why are we having this scenario? That's the big question this morning. If you're a Rumuosi resident, I think this ought to bother you. You may not have had the ungodly and unsightly experience of being robbed. I have. But some people have. And trust me, I say this with all sincerity. I wouldn't wish that for anybody. So why then is there an upsurge in this robbery and petty thefts? No, this is not even petty theft. This is phone snatching and that kind of stuff. Yeah, oh, by the way, it's not just here in Rumuosi. Apparently, in the UK, in London, there's been an increase in phone snatching in London itself, not Peckham or one of those lower boroughs. No, I'm talking about London. Yeah, why though?
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeria Info FM. Nigeria Info, let's talk.
Hello, Jude on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
017-923-0002, 0817923-0003, 0817923-0002, 0817923-0003. At Nigeria Info PH is where you'll find us on Facebook and on X. At Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. Rumuosi people, this is for us in particular. What is going on? Why is there an upsurge here? What happened to all the very many stops we get to see? Where all the community boys are usually, hang around some of the residential areas, in this place. I always thought, that it would be very difficult. It's kind of like how, when I was in Benin, it was a part of Benin, in Uselu, right? One of those quarters where we used to stay. Before you hear they stole somebody's pants, you'll be worried. But what's going on? Rumuosi people. 90.3. Hello, Port Harcourt. Good morning. Hello? Oh, wow. That was he talking to somebody else? It seems the story was 08179230007, 08179230009, 08179230007, 08179230009. Let's say hello to another caller. 90.3. Good morning. Hello, Port Harcourt.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Jude.
Good morning, sir. Good morning.
Thank you. My name is Kingsley. I'm calling from Promodara.
Welcome, Kingsley.
Thank you very much. I think the story